It being 10 o'clock, I'll call this meeting to order, the regular council meeting of the County of Newell for January the 29th, 2026. I think everyone except Holly is here, so could we have a motion to excuse Holly Johnson from today's meeting? Councillor Hofer, please. Thank you.
I'll make that motion to accept Holly's absence.
Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. We have minutes of the January 15th meeting that were circulated. Are there any errors or omissions? Or if not, a motion to approve the minutes as circulated. Councillor Johnson, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. We have, with regard to today's agenda, we have the Brooks RCMP coming in at 11, Bassano at 11:15, and then at 11:45, quarter to 12, we have two families, the Davidson and the Graham families, that are going to come in to celebrate their 100-year Farm Family Awards. So that's on the agenda. Is there anything else to add in terms of post-agenda items? Seeing none, a motion to adopt the agenda as circulated would be in order. Councillor Baumgarten, all in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Question period or notices of motion. Anyone have a notice of motion? Or any questions out in the abyss? I guess there's not. So with that, let's move on to item number 8, Agriculture Services Business. And I'm pleased to welcome Agriculture Fieldman, Mr. Todd Green. Welcome.
We're going to tag team this.
That's great.
We're practicing a little skit for you all. Just joking.
You need props.
We don't, now that everything's on the YouTube forever, I don't think we need that to be on the public record.
Okay.
But I am excited to bring Catherine Hawk with me today. Catherine started with us on Monday as our new manager of agricultural services. So we're excited to have her. She's taking over the responsibilities that Will Scott was doing for us, and probably more or less a very similar job, but yeah, we're excited to have her. So I wanted to bring her in, introduce her, and then maybe allow her to give a little bit of background on herself, and then maybe we could do an introduction around the table.
That sounds good. Welcome, Catherine. Go ahead. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I'm Catherine Hawk, and I've previously, some of you look familiar because I worked for the County of Newell as the Environmental Services Supervisor 4 years ago. Was on maternity leave, and now I'm ready to get back to work. So yeah, I farm in the County of Newell. We farm just in the Tilly area. We rent my parents' land out there, and then we also ranch up in the Red Cliff area, me and my husband and his family. So that's kind of what we do. We have two little ones at home. I have a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old. So busy at home as well. And yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. I've always kind of dreamed of this job, and so when the opportunity came, I was very excited to apply, and I'm just very happy to be here. So
Great to hear. Welcome, and we look forward to working with you on an ongoing basis. That's great.
thanks.
Should we all introduce ourselves, just so you know who's sitting around the table? I'll go to Neil first.
I'm Neil Johnson, Division 7. Welcome.
Good morning, Adina Scandrup, Division 2.
Good morning, Ben Hofer, Division 8, Duchess.
Good morning, Catherine. Greg Screever, Division 5, Lake Newell Resort and the Lake Newell Resort and south of Brooks. Yeah.
We'll give you directions later. Kelly Chrisman, good morning and welcome back, Catherine. Kelly Chrisman, the west side, northwest side of the county.
And I'm Arno Dirksen, representing Division 9, which is the gem area and the countryside around the village of Rosemary.
Awesome to have you back. Welcome.
Hi, Dan Baumgarten, down in Division 1 around Rolling Hills. Hi, I'm Lynette Kopp, Division 3, Patricia Millicent area. Welcome back.
That's all of us. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's exciting. It's always, it's always exciting for me to hear when somebody wants to come and return and willing to work with me. So I think that's that's a fun advancement that I didn't necessarily anticipate. But if it's okay, should we just roll into the report and then we can get out of your hair for a minute?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sounds good. All right, so this is our formal report that we put together for you guys every second month. I always find it amazing how fast January goes after Christmas. It seems like the Christmas season slows right down, and then January kicks her up a couple gears. We have a big shift coming this season. We, of course, are happy to have Catherine back with us. We're a little nervous about a lot of the changes that are occurring in the rest of our team. We do require a few new seasonals, a new Emerson Bridge Park supervisor, which is a big change. And we anticipate hopefully that everything goes well, but you never know. And we'll have more changes to announce at a later date, but for now, that's what's on the docket. We've been busy in the shop. Kim's got most of the repairs done on our rental fleet. Him and Austin were working on the no-till drills, and I think the big drill comes in here pretty quick for a once-over before it hits the field. And Howard has been busy building his roadside spray truck. So it's a pretty big undertaking. I don't think we give him enough credit for that, probably. Just the sheer amount of planning and organizing and then actually building it is pretty impressive when you see it going down the road. So when you do see, I think it's 309, that's all Howard's labor of love there. And love might be a strong word at this point, but eventually that's what it'll be. One of our busiest years for EFPs. I took a look this morning because I remember going through them all, and I love going through them. They're it takes a great amount of time to do it. And just in my EFP schedule, I had 30 that we completed this year. Austin probably had another 10. So a big year for EFPs, and I think we'll probably slow down now that the Agri-Invest guys are all done. But we're always willing to do more. So if anybody knows of somebody that wants to do an environmental farm plan, Catherine is also certified to do it. Austin is, and I am. So somebody will for sure have time when it is needed. Speaking of this time of year, standard operating procedures always take a big part of the planning. We don't have a lot of time to plan during the busy season, so that's why we do it now. We find that our SOPs are a great way to keep us organized. And I love talking about CDC, so we're going to do that. We are nearing completion of our greenhouse resurrection at the CDC. Only a few more projects left until it's back to 100%. That's exciting because it's been a journey. But beyond that, we're busy working on the HVAC systems, adding a new steam boiler at the Hargrave building, getting the controlled environment rooms working again, and organizing rooms so they are functional and well organized. And hats off to Tina and Jenna and Donovan. They've been spending an insane amount of time going through the history of the place as they organize all the different rooms into functional places. The one thing that we found was very interesting when we were going through some of the spaces, there's, a little bit of greenhouse stuff here, a little bit of greenhouse stuff there, a little bit of pumps here, a little bit of pumps there. So Tina's got everything in the same place. And amazingly enough, just before Christmas, we had to quickly set up a room for a renter, and it was all in the right spot. And me and Donovan worked quickly. It was a 2-hour journey instead of a 8-hour journey trying to figure that all out it was New Year's Eve we did that. Anyways, lots of fun out there always. I enjoyed the ASB conference. I hope all that attended did as well. I think we got some great information on some new technology. I really enjoyed the market outlook, especially from Mr. Is it Wok? W-O-W-K? Woke. Anyways, because he had a great cattle futures outlook, and that's what I like. So. That's it for me.
Great. Thank you, Todd. Are there any questions or comments? Councillor Skanderup, please.
So I know not everything on Facebook is true, but I did see there that there's a local couple that are going to be growing some vegetables out there. Will that be for for us to purchase locally? Is that do you know what the plan is there?
I didn't see the Facebook thing, so I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about. But we do have one of our research bays rented to a local couple. Our understanding of their business plan is to create a subscription box. That's our basic understanding. Outside of that, we were just happy to have the rental and work with them to get that going.
It's great to hear. Are there any other questions, comments? I'll just add one that I have repeatedly heard also, that what's happening out at CDC has quite exceeded expectations out in the countryside. So that's great to hear, and a credit to all of you and your crew. That's great to see. And I think just your report, even with regard to what a breath of fresh air to see some organization come back into that. And I think the future isn't without a lot of effort, but I think it's bright, and that's great to see, and credit to your crew and everyone who's working on it. So look forward to that going forward. With that, is there a motion to accept the Agriculture Fieldman's report? Councillor Baumgarten, thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, Catherine. We look forward to working with you. Let's move on to item number administrative business 9.1, expanding council representation on the Rural Brooks Area Recreation Board. Matt, you're taking that, please?
Yeah, I'll take this one in Lane's absence here. So pretty straightforward with the shuffling of electoral divisions and the not shuffling of recreation areas. There's an opportunity to include Division 4 councillor and a Division 4 member at large on the rec board. The advertising is going to go out in the paper, so we wanted to get this taken care of before that goes out and have a decision made by council. So philosophy for this Rural Brooks Area Board being a councillor from each of the areas as well as a member at large. So the recommendation there is to expand board representation.
Okay, thank you, Matt. Are there any questions or comments? Or subsequently a motion to go ahead, Councillor Screever, please.
I'll make that motion.
To carry on as per the recommendation?
Yes, as per the recommendation.
All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. 9.2, request for support for the Rolling Hills Ag Academy. Go ahead, Matt, please.
Yeah, thank you, Reeve. If council recalls, back in November, we had what I would consider to be an excellent presentation from some young County of Newell residents for an initiative they have looking to build a barn down there at the Agricultural Academy. Administration was directed to work with that committee down there and bring back a funding proposal. That is what you have in front of you. Working with Darby Lester and Desiree Davidson down there, we talked about what kind of financial capacity would the fundraising society have for paying back a loan. And if you recall, they really wanted a loan component to help educate the kids on the financing aspect of agricultural projects. Where we ended up is a recommendation of a grant of $24,560 and then a $10,000 unsecured loan to be repaid over 5 years at a fixed interest rate equal to what the county could borrow through the loans to local authorities. If you're interested, last time I looked, that interest rate was 3.12%. So those are some pretty good borrowing terms for these young agriculturalists down in Rolling Hills. If this is amenable to council, we'd look for approval today, and we would bring back the borrowing bylaw, and we'd work on getting a loan agreement together that covers all the details for payment dates and default provisions and making sure we're coloring inside the MGA lines. I'm open to questions.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there questions? Councillor Chrisman, please, go ahead.
Through the Reeve to CAO. My question is, are we stretching it by calling education recreation dollars?
Go ahead.
Yeah, potentially. So in the recommendation, it is recreation fund is the source. Council could choose a different fund. Stabilization fund comes to mind. When administration looked at the total dollar amount recommended for support, we applied the philosophy that shows up in the rec fund for new builds, where the county's contribution would be limited to 25%. These guys come in just below that. So if the rec fund isn't where council wants to leave it, we do have resources available in the stabilization fund if you prefer.
Thank you. Follow up? Go ahead.
Yeah, follow up to that. I just wanted to suggest that maybe another source would be better, because when Rolling Hills does come for rec money, this is going to show up as already being sent out. And is it truly a recreation expenditure? So if we have other capacity, I would suggest that we go there.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, so in the motion, I would propose changing it from recreation fund to stabilization fund.
Go ahead.
In that case, I would be happy to make that motion.
Okay, thank you. We've got a motion on the floor. I have one comment or question. What is Grasslands, and maybe this is background that I just need to be updated on or reminded of, but what is Grasslands School commitment to this project, and is that all in place? Because I'm quite aware or sensitive to the fact that with small schools, the staffing and component and commitment to a whole range of things in a small school is critical to success, and I think we've seen some both success and failure in that regard at times. So where is that at? Go ahead.
Yeah, my understanding is the land is provided by Grasslands. You'll see in attachment 3 the itemized listing of support there. Grasslands will be involved with some of the door hardware, heater, and then the maintenance on it on a go forward there. But it looks to me like it's limited to the land and some labor.
Okay, thank you. And I guess we can carry on that conversation when we meet with Grasslands in less than a month as well. So that's probably good. Okay, we have a motion on the floor to proceed as recommended, except to take the funding out of the stabilization fund instead of recreation. Any further questions? Councillor Johnson, please.
I think that's a really good idea. If we do that new track, what fund would that come out of? Because it's sort of the same thing.
Stability fund, right? Is that, go ahead.
Yeah, through the chair, the track funding would come out of your recreation fund.
Oh, I see. Oh, good. Sorry, I missed your question there. Go ahead, Councillor Screen.
Yeah, just putting a spin on it. I don't know, maybe this isn't done, but I'm just wondering if this is an unsecured loan. I'm just wondering if it's within our wheelhouse to provide a secured loan with Grasslands securing the amount rather than the taxpayer. This does build on Grasslands. This becomes part of their infrastructure. And I'm wondering if they should have some meat in the game other than just land with respect to this building. And because it is the Rolling Hills School that is being given this loan, I'm just wondering if it should be secured by Grasslands.
Go ahead.
Securing it with Grasslands will complicate the loan agreement part of it. The loan agreement will be between the county and the fundraising society of Rolling Hills School. If security is of a concern to council on that 10,000, so say you get to year 3 and you've got a little bit left and these guys are defunct, in administration's mind, that would be a write-off and funded from the stabilization fund at that point. Administration's tried to keep the loan part of it as simple as possible while still checking off all the legislative requirements in the MGA.
Okay, thank you. That speaks to your question. Councillor Baumgarten, please.
I just like to offer a bit more color as to what Matt just mentioned about them getting fundraising status, in that they are applying for some more grants that they weren't eligible for. There's a TELUS grant and some others. And they've been fundraising like crazy. Some of the numbers are already out of date on the background information. They're getting more and more donations. So I'm not saying that they don't need this money. They do, but it's the direction it's going is they'll probably need less than more. So I'm very comfortable that they won't come back and say, ooh, geez, we'd really like a little bit extra to finish this. I think this will get them where they need to be. So they've done an excellent job. Des has been tireless in raising money, and it's gone really well. So I understand what you're saying. It makes sense, but I think the risk, there's always risk, but I think this one, they've done taken a lot of steps to mitigate that. So just to give you a bit more color as to what they've been up to out there.
That's great. Thanks, Dan. Are we ready for the question? All in favor of the motion, please indicate. That is carried unanimously. Thank you. Thanks for that information. Let's go on to item 9.3, our joint meeting with Grasslands Schools on February the 12th proposed. Go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, so through the chair, this is council's opportunity to consider if there's any other items you would like to chat with the Grasslands board about. I will remind council on your list of strategic priorities, advocacy items is youth, agriculture, career training, having those conversations with the board. Last year, we received a great presentation from Cam at the school division talking about their partnership with Olds. You'll see as consideration for function of council attendance at the Alberta Rural Education Symposium. That would be the other remaining item that sticks out to administration for possible consideration, but I don't have anything specific when it comes to what you would speak to on the youth, agriculture, education.
So we're looking, what are other areas that we could cover at that meeting, right? That's the basic. Thank you, Matt. I'm going to suggest that we have a conversation about potential opportunities at CDC. I think there's definitely potentially a educational opportunity there, and that can be a broad-ranging discussion, even linkages to Medicine Hat College as well through Grasslands. But I think that would be a good add-on. Go ahead, Councillor Screever.
Yeah, I'd also like to see what the updates to the trades work that they're working on. Trades are going to be becoming more and more important as we move forward, and just want to see where we're at, because I know they put significant assets in towards getting the trades up and going. So, or the trade programs up and going. So an update on that would be great.
Okay, thank you. That's all we need there, I think, unless somebody has anything else. I imagine. Oh, Councillor Scandra, please.
Well, I have something that I'm curious about, but I'm not really sure that this is the place for it. But I know there's a portable planetarium that they can rent out of Calgary, and I'm just wondering if they've ever looked into bringing it to our elementary schools, because I remember back in the day that was a pretty exciting thing for us to go to Calgary and see. So something I was curious about.
Okay, that would be under the category of potential opportunities, right? Great. Anything else? If not, let's move on to requests for functions of council. And we have one Alberta Care Spring Seminar. Ariana, are you going to talk about that a little bit? I think there's an attachment, right?
Yes, I can talk about it. So it's pre-approved as a function of council for the renewal recycling representative. they usually go, I threw it on as consideration for the rest of you since it's in Brooks. It's right after the RMA convention, but it might be a good opportunity for you to attend.
Okay, that's good to see. I think in terms of that would be a reasonable consideration because the travel is minimal and it's in our backyard. And I think also with regard to that, a good showing from our group would be somewhat meaningful at the event as well, right? Councillor Kopp, you're our representative, right? What are your thoughts?
I've been to that conference a couple times, and I don't know, you always learn a little bit, something new, and seeing as we're having global green coming into our community and stuff like that, I do think it would be a good idea. I would also like to ask if we could participate in the silent auction by putting something into that as well, because they always do that.
Yeah, I'm sure we would do that. Do you make a motion that that become a function of council?
Yes, I would.
All councils?
Yes, please.
Councillors who were able. All in favor of that, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you for that. Are there any other functions of council? Go ahead.
Just one more note to that. The overlap with RMA there, that first day is just a tour of the solid waste facility, as far as I understand, that's all we would be missing. And then if you could be back for the 6 o'clock supper banquet thing would be appropriate.
A good place to be. All right, thank you. Any other functions of council that you have in mind at this point? Matt, go ahead.
We'll just point council's attention to email circulated this morning for this Alberta Rural Education Symposium. Relates back to what we just talked about there for Grasslands School Division. This was highlighted as something for potential consideration. The room booking closes tomorrow, so if there's consideration to get in, we need to shoehorn that in. Now, this starts Sunday, March 1st and carries on till Tuesday, March 3rd.
Sorry, I haven't looked at that email. What was that again? Can you just give us a quick breakdown?
Yeah, so Alberta Rural Education Symposium 2026, Resilient Roots, Bold Futures, Partnering for Innovation in Rural Schools. Considering the presentations we received from folks like Rolling Hills, the unfortunate situation we have up in GEM, the struggle keeping rural schools open, and council's strategic priority of focusing on ag education, there may be some benefit from attending this.
Where is that again? Sorry, I haven't been able to find it in my, I need my second screen, I guess. Anyway, that's fine.
Yeah, let me see here. At the River Cree Casino and Resort.
And it's a 2 or 3 day?
March 1st to March 3rd.
Okay. That sounds like it would be interesting in relation to several of the initiatives we have going. I mean, I haven't looked ahead. I might be interested in that but I guess question is, what would we do? Send some representatives or make it a function of council for how many people? One or two additional? Go ahead, Councillor Christman.
I'll make a motion that we send one council representative to this 3-day conference.
Okay.
And see what they can bring back. I'd be interested to hear.
Okay, thank you. All in favor of that motion, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. That is March the 1st, so I feel like that's kind of been just sort of sprung on us. Should we revisit this in 2 weeks to decide who's going to attend, or does someone can? Go ahead, Ariana, please.
It looks like we have to book the room right away, but registration's open till the end of February, so I think we could bring it back or send an email and decide.
And register, but just
Yeah, get secure the hotel room for sure.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So we're good with that? Okay, it's good. Thank you. Any other functions of council? Seeing none, I think we can move on. Thank you, Ariana. Municipal Services Business. Welcome, Mr. Mark Harbert.
Good morning, Reeve and Council. Today, snow and ice control policy. This is what we're doing and keeping up with our review and updating of policies to make sure we're catching the levels of service adequately for our ratepayers and making sure that you're the decision makers on whether we are or whether we are not. So RFD is there just summarizing the highlights of policy change, which includes a slight title change from snow plowing and sanding, which really it's more than just snow and sand, it's snow and ice control. In that, it's also snow removal from hamlets and such. I think we've captured everything that we need to do. We've ran this past our frontline workers. They understand. I hope we catch ourselves in the moment of whether we're properly working on the right property and facilities as to whose ownership is what and whose responsibility is what, because we do have facilities that appear to be public, but they are privately owned, whether it's through agricultural societies, but sometimes they own the land and the building. And in other instances, the county owns the land and the building has been constructed in agreement from the county by the leaseholder, or things have been leased out. So I think we've captured everything well, and if there's any questions, I'll gladly do my best.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Are there any questions? Councillor Chrisman, please.
Through the chair, Mark, do we address the contract roads that we deal with?
Those will be standing agreements, like you're talking the municipal partners in some regards, that if the town of Bazzano asked for services on roads, those are all separate agreements and those are all billable back to those municipalities.
Right, I get that. Do we address those roads in this policy?
I have not addressed them in this policy because to me that is a separate standing matter than what we're doing on county assets.
So then follow-up question is, how do they fall into the priority?
It's for the manager to sort out with the other municipality.
Okay. Interesting.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Screever.
Yeah, maybe in the same vein, I'm just wondering, do we have an agreement with Grasslands to help out with their snow clearing within the parking lots of their rural schools in our hamlets? And if not, is it something that Grasslands does themselves, or is it something that we could provide maybe a bit higher service level to within the hamlets? Just a discussion. I'm not saying we should do it or shouldn't do it, but I think it's important to look at the Tilley School, the Alcoma School, and the Rolling Hills School specifically. If those parking lots could be helped out with. I don't know if those discussions have ever happened before.
So at this time, with my 18 years, there's never been a request from Grasslands in that respect. Obviously, they have been in and asked for those services for mowing, spraying, things like that of council and the ag department, but we have not been engaged in that whatsoever. So I believe they're addressing their properties as they need to under their own control. And if there was ever a point in time, I would expect they would come with a request for council to consider that, and we'd be able to work through policy and such with you on that.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions or comments? And if not, a motion with regard to this policy. Someone have some direction for us? Councillor Kopp, please.
I'll make the motion for the policy as presented.
As recommended. Thank you. All in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Harbert. Let's go to committee reports. We have several written committee reports. I think there's some good written reports, and we also have excuse me. We also have several other reports that aren't written but noted here on the comments. So what I'm going to do is we'll take the other reports, and then if there are questions or comments on any of them that have been written or presented, we can take it at that time. First of all, City of Brooks Recreation and Parks Board, Councillor Johnson and Councillor Screever. Go ahead, Councillor Screever.
Yeah, I'll take this one. We just met last night, so a formal written report was unable to be done. But just a couple notes of this from this committee is we now have a full slate of county representatives with Bob Krumka coming onto the board. The Parks Department, they noted that there is quite interestingly a white supremacist group within Brooks, and they've been removing graffiti and stickers on signs and things. This is an organized group. They're not just a one-off like the old like happened before with the graffiti. This is actually an organized group that has a significant presence in Brooks. So so as the parks, they've been cleaning up as where needed, and it's been quite extensive. We approved. We've been looking at heavy with the master plan. We've been doing a review of the master plan, and that's going to be ongoing, along with a master plan action item update. Similar to our strategic planning updates, we're going to try and mirror what the county is doing with our strategic plans within this group, the master plan action. So items that's responsibility of staff, items that are the responsibility of the board, and where they coincide with each other. We're trying to make that more prominent and have a better grasp on what needs to be done. One other thing here is we were going to do elections for a chair and vice chair. I'm currently the chair of this committee. The new bylaws that have come down and that we're recommending to Brooks City Council is that a non-councillor be represented as the chair and vice chair, so it'd be a member at large. So there is a number of members at large that are fully capable of being chair and vice chair. So these decisions are going to be made within the next month or two, as far as that goes. Anything else, Neil?
No, that's about it. We met the two new reps from the city. I think they'll be very easy to work with. And the part of the meeting that was a bit sickening was the racism pamphlets. So keep your ears open. They're all over the place. If you see them at the post office, anywhere, pick them up and get them to somebody to do something about it. It's not something we need in this community.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and that's something that maybe we should talk to the RCMP within their reports when they do meet, this as an update on that, because it is concerning. So
sounds good. Okay, thank you. Thanks for that. Let's go to Newell Housing Foundation. Councillor Scandrup.
So we met last, or I guess it feels like it's a month ago now. Not too much different as far as I'm sorry. Everything is pretty much rented except for Newbrook Lodge still has 10% available. Newbrook Lodge had a sprinkler pipe freeze and break and flooded 2 rooms very substantially and 10 rooms in all that had to be evacuated and cleaned up and dried out. So they've had the crew in there to figure out why because the pipe was on the 2nd floor, so not really sure why it had froze at the time, but I hear now that they had somebody in and looked at it and they got that straightened out. The only other things that were decided at the meeting, I was voted in as vice chair. Cole Steinley is the chair, and also I will be signing on the account, but that's about the only other things.
Thank you. Any questions? That's good. Thank you, Councillor Screever.
Yeah, I'd like to note that some of the lodges were put on outbreak status, so due to the flu, and as far as I know from what I've been reading is that those have been lifted. But it's always a trying time for the seniors within our lodges when these things happen. So I think we're hopefully past that for the season, but time will tell.
Thank you, Councillor.
Well, and I just want to add to that. So they were on outbreak status. So all it does is take 2 residents to have the symptoms, and that becomes an outbreak status. But when you talk to people, and they were all like, "We're on lockdown or outbreak. We're locked down," and there is no lockdown anymore. They were on outbreak status. And as I say, it only takes 2 people, but some things did kind of get carried away as far as communication as to what that was. But everything is unlocked now, undone.
Good, thank you. Let's move on. Newell Recycling Association. Who's taking that one? Yeah, Councillor Kopp, please.
Okay, we have our AGM set for March 25th at 7 p.m. at the Recycling Center. They have shredding events coming up March 28th, May 16th, September 19th, and they all run from 9 until noon. And that's if you want to have confidential shredding done as well, they will do it at that time. So it doesn't matter what you're wanting shredded. I think that was about it. Oh, I guess the EPR stuff is still rolling out. We still don't know what that's exactly going to look like yet. But so far, Circular Materials has been doing everything that they've said they're going to. So there has been funds coming in for the things that they're responsible for. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to Palliser Economic Partnership. Excuse me. Just an update. We had some conversation around some of PEP's activities last meeting, but the fundraising dinner that's planned for February 9th is developing quite well. There's significant sponsorship come to the table already, in excess of $50,000 in terms of sponsorship for that. It looks like there's quite a bit of excitement around a good start at an endowment being set up that will permanently support veterinarians. So that's one piece of it. The dean of the vet medicine school in Calgary will be there to bring an update and speak. Nikki Grave from the Community Foundation will speak about the foundation and the endowment. And also there will be, this is with regard to PEP. We're aware of the infrastructure project that they've supported with regard to Canadian Infrastructure Bank and support for communities working on infrastructure projects. Amanda Davis, who previously was the CAO at Bassano, has been engaged on a contract basis to work on that project, and I think her background with regard to Bassano's activity is key to that developing. So we're looking forward to good results with her bringing some focus to that, and hopefully there's some questions still around the dynamic of the infrastructure bank support, but I think that will materialize. So there'll be a brief update on that at the dinner as well on the 9th, and then the other activity will be a report from the contractor that is helping small businesses with export market readiness. So those are all initiatives that I think are positive for potentially small business, and it'll be an informative evening. The other thing that we're working on is to have some of our local students who are involved in the Olds College Vet Tech program through the high school come to that event on a comped basis, and I think some of the seats that have come to the county as a result of our support for the initiative will be used for that purpose. That's still being organized through Grasslands, I believe. And then there's also some potential for some veterinary students to attend too. I've heard from some of the other areas. So there's quite a bit of interest in this. I think hopefully we can get between a good attendance at that, so there's still opportunity. The other thing I'd like to mention, all of your ag societies, if you've got ag societies, could you have a conversation with them about coming and being present there? I know the Rosemary Ag Society has bought a table, I believe, and will be there. Silver Sage is very supportive of this, and I think is planning to have representation with a table. And I think it would be appropriate for the ag societies, local ag societies, if they can muster the wherewithal, it'd be a good place to be locally, and also in the context of the other areas that will be represented at that event. Councillor Scandrup, please.
Is there some kind of poster or leaflet or something that we could distribute so that if we had somebody who wanted to send an email to, we could?
Yeah, that's good. I think there is one, and it has been circulated. I know Catherine, I think, helped build that. Could you circulate that to everyone, Catherine, so that we all have access to it? And it has 2 sides on it, I believe. Well, actually, in the Brooks Bulletin has an ad printed that I think also includes sponsorship opportunities. Am I right? I think so. And I'll just say that, I mean, some of it is still pending, but there's at least $50,000 or $60,000 in sponsorship already come to the table for that, and I think that's excellent in terms of being able to take a good shot at that, so that hopefully that issue will over time not be as big on our plate in the future. Any other questions? Councillor Hofer, please.
There is actually an email circulating right now amongst the Dutchess Ag Society, and I believe it's from Barbara Kulik, Executive Director, who's circulating a lot of this information to the Ag Societies already.
To the other ag societies as well, or just to Dutchess?
Oh, sorry, I should say to Dutchess.
Yeah, no, you said that. I think you said that. I just wasn't sure. But I have talked to, in passing, a couple of the members of the Ag Society in Dutchess, and they were interested. I wasn't sure of the status, but that's a good update. Thank you. Anything else? Okay. See, are there any other questions? Oh, that's what I would Councillor Christman in a minute, but I wanted to just good reports from the Ag Service Board conference, and that's the connection I wanted to make. There was reference there to the presentation of the Dean of Vet Medicine in Calgary. She will also be speaking at this event to give an update with regard to the Calgary project, and you'll recall that Calgary has a bursary that they set up to support vet students. I think this one is well placed to be with the Community Foundation in southeastern Alberta. And I've had veterinarians who've spoken to me about building a strategy of how that fund is used so that we get a good, a higher likelihood of having graduated doctors of veterinary medicine come back to our area. I think that's critical for us. And there's some really interesting conversations we can have around that. It's premature to say how this is going to look yet, because we don't know how big the fund will get. But as it grows, it has the opportunity to make quite a difference, I believe. Councillor Christman, you had a question?
Yeah, a couple, and they're totally different. So I'll go with the tough one first. I know I wasn't at the last meeting, but it sounds like this has been worked on for a while. I'm just wondering about our communication back from PEP. Why are we coming in? I first heard about it 2 weeks ago after council. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just wondering if we could get our communication better coming from PEP to our council. And that would be through you, I would suspect, because you are chair of PEP. So if we could step that up, I'd sure appreciate it personally.
And I would say absolutely, but I think we won't be communicating things that aren't already in the queue. And I'll just say that this whole project has come very quickly. It was speculated on, but it was decided on at the PEP meeting in January. And I think it was reported on. We did talk about it at our last meeting, but it was pretty new in terms of a go at that point. Part of the reason is our guest speaker is our MLA. And in terms of picking the date, it was very much critical to availability of our guest speaker. So February the 9th is coming very quickly. There has not been a lot of time to talk about this ahead of time. It would have been speculative. And I think that we probably don't want to waste our time on that. I think we want good communication. But frankly, since our last meeting, there's been a lot of, the details have come together and continue to, so that's well taken.
Thank you.
But that's the background that I think is significant to this.
And then my other point is in my report about the vets, where we have a call to action from that presentation. We were asked, as in our political positions, if we would speak to our MP about a grant that was distributed by the federal government. It listed a whole list of career professionals, doctors, nurses, and I don't have a full list. He didn't go through the full list. But we were asked to speak to the fact that veterinarians were missed off that list. So there is no loan forgiveness for veterinarians from the federal government. And this is a fairly new, happened in January. The announcement came out in January. So while I was at ASB, I sent an email to MP David Bexty, advising him of the situation, but I encourage you all to, if you feel the need, to go ahead and do the same.
Do we have, excuse me, thank you for that. Do we have enough information to craft a letter on behalf of the county with regard to that, or is it more effective for it to be a citizen-led initiative?
I think we could do it, but I would suggest that staff do some more deep dive into it, because I'm just relaying the message, what I had heard at convention, so, and
Right.
the rest of us heard, so.
You haven't heard back from
Yes.
Bexty or?
I did. His reply was pretty generic, and thank you for I'll look into it.
Okay.
But certainly if you wanted to get on board and draft or do some more investigating on it, and then a County of Newell, I would be happy to make that motion.
Okay. Let's maybe wait, and that can see, and it's quite possible that a conversation like that could be raised at the dinner on the 9th as well, because there will be representatives there from the veterinary college in Calgary as well, and some other veterinarians present. So, okay, thank you for that. Any other questions or comments with regard to committee reports? Councillor Kopp, please.
I just have a question from the ASB conference committee reports that you guys did up. It sounded like the UFC vet intake, they've increased the amount of students that they're taking, but on Councillor Chrisman's report, they've also increased the GPA. Is that true? Like, it's seen admissions going from 3.0 GPA to 4. Or did I misunderstand that?
I think it's gone the other way, but go ahead, Councillor Chrisman.
Yeah, you're right, Reeve. They have brought it down to 3, where before it was 3.5, 3.6, something like that. So anywhere in between 3 and 4 now.
Okay, thank
Okay,
you.
it just seemed like that one way it was saying they were trying to make it easier to get more students, and then, okay, very good, thank you.
I think there's pretty good recognition of the challenge in rural Alberta and trying to up the opportunity, or the chance of having more veterinarians land in this, in our region. So anything else with the committee reports? If not, I'm going to suggest we take a 5-minute break and reconvene at 11 o'clock when we will have the presentation from Sergeant Harms. Thank you. reconvene our meeting. And I'm glad to see Staff Sergeant Robert Harms is here. Welcome, and also Sergeant Joe Schmidt. Welcome to you both. And I think we're starting with Staff Sergeant Harms, right? Thanks for coming this morning. Do you know everybody around the table? Pretty much. We've all met, haven't we?
I think, unless somebody's going to prove me wrong here.
Yeah. Okay. Well, welcome. Appreciate you coming this morning.
Thank you. So in our typical fashion, Sergeant Schmidt and I are both shoulder to shoulder here to present our quarterly reports. I'll start us off. The quarterly reports are a little bit different than the typical ones in that they include some year-end data because, of course, December is a year-end, for a lot of associations and so on. So we do have some year-end data to share. Now, I haven't gone through all of Joe's report, but I went through mine this morning. There's a lot of information in there, so I'm not going to touch on everything by no means. I'll try and hit the highlights, but at the end of my presentation, if I miss something or somebody wants to talk on something specifically, by all means, just let me know. So again, just for the sake of time, I'll just hit on the highlights. I'm going to start on page 1 of my report, which starts off with year-end highlights from 2025. By no means is this all of our statistics. It's just a couple key ones, in my opinion. This is specific to Brooks Detachment in the rural areas, which does include some of the other small portions of other counties and special areas that we police, so it's the whole entire rural area. In 2025, we responded to 1,970 calls for service, or events as we call them. Comparing that to 2024, there was 1,855, so it actually represents a 6.2% increase in calls for service. Of those, we had 452 what I call traffic offense charge files. Those are basically files or events where we wrote traffic offense tickets. That could be an officer on patrol, self-generated ticket, or in response to a complaint. And in some of those cases, multiple tickets were written under one event. 219 motor vehicle collisions in 2025 compared to 278 in 2024. 21% decrease, which I was really, really happy to see. With that said, and I'm going to talk more about this in another couple parts of my report, it's important to point out we did have some fatal collisions in 2025, a total of 4 compared to 2 in 2024. Low numbers, but I think everyone would agree 1 fatal collision is too many, so it's definitely noteworthy. We also had 45 injury collisions in 2025, which is about the same in 2024. 201 occurrences of property crime in 2025 compared to 151 in 2024 represents a 33% increase. Of that, we had 16 vehicle thefts compared to 14 the previous year. Theft under 5,000s, we had 51 compared to 34 the previous year. And mischief to property was 36 compared to 23 in 2024. We had 41 mental health calls compared to 25 in 2024, represents a 64% increase. We had a number of criminal record checks, and a number I'm quite proud of is we had almost 5,000 rural patrols, documented rural patrols that our officers did in the rural areas. A little bit about community visibility and public engagement. 238 media releases that vary from educational to awareness to reporting events to the public. 51 public presentations, 73 public engagements where we actually showed up and participated in ceremonies, parades, or some type of public event. So just wanted to kind of capture some of those numbers, and by all means that's not all of the statistics I have, but definitely some key ones. When I look at those numbers and just kind of try and highlight or identify some trends, the one thing I want to talk about again is those motor vehicle collisions. Again, we've seen that 21% decrease, which is great. But as said, 4 of those were fatalities. It's important to point out, and I know in the last council meeting I was asked, because we reported a lot of these are at intersections, which still continues to be the case. And I was asked, is this distracted driving or what's the cause there? It's really difficult to put a finger on all of that. I can tell you this, that it did involve a number of those incidents, vehicles not stopping at stop signs for, in some cases, unknown reasons. But it became apparent to me either they're not paying attention to stop signs or oblivious to them for some reason. Could be distracted, might not be. The reason I don't have all the answers is some of those people aren't with us to have that discussion anymore, right? So very difficult. But it's worth pointing out. The other thing I want to point out in response to this in the latter portion of the year here, particularly in the fourth quarter, in response to that, we increased our patrols and monitoring of intersections in the counties, and specifically on intersections. And what I mean by that is increased focus, increased patrols, and we actually engaged all of our partners that we could engage for something like that. That includes not only our general duty patrol officers in Brooks, in Bassano, but also our traffic services, provincial traffic services units, and the peace officers, including out of this county, and the Alberta sheriffs. So right away, you know, we had a good response by those agencies, and we'll continue to do what we can for intersection safety. Moving on, as far as trends, 33% increase was observed in property crime. The one thing I want to point out here, without a doubt, a big contributor to that is what I'm calling crime sprees, where we've had one individual or a small group of individuals kind of unleash multiple events in very, very short order, which is typical of property crime. Unfortunately, it kind of impacts those statistics a little bit and drives them up. Unlocked vehicles was a factor in 2025 as far as theft of items from vehicles. Theft under 5,000 included a variety of things, including theft of copper wire from different work sites, oil-filled sites, gas sites in the county, theft of license plates, theft of batteries from parked equipment. Mischief to property included, again, a number of things, but unwanted signage and posters, which I'm going to talk about here shortly, with graffiti, damaged property found on road signs, damaged vehicles found, damaged solar panels, damaged pivots from attempted theft, and so on. So all of that has contributed to our statistics. So anyway, those are some of the trends that I picked out and that I just wanted to comment on. I'm going to move into the next page, which is more focused on the quarter itself, the fourth quarter, October to December. Again, I'm not going to go over every line, and in fact, I'm just going to hit on the first, the next two tables, which are on the next 3 pages. So the first table just talks about our events and our related GD activity. 378 calls for service in the fourth quarter, 1,300 rural patrols, 109 criminal record checks, and 83 violation tickets were written. I'm going to move into the community involvement, the community engagement. Again, just a quick summary on that next table. 57 media releases, 12 presentations, and 20 public engagements just in that quarter. Moving along to staffing, nothing new to report there. We still remain fully staffed on the provincial and the rural side, so we're very happy with that. And we still remain working side by side with Bassano, which I'll let Joe speak to when he's speaking. Moving down to noteworthy events for the quarter. Again, regarding crime sprees, and I think I talked a little bit about this the last time I attended a council meeting here, but in September, October, there was a crime spree. It involved a number of property crimes, some of which were 2 break-and-enters on the west side of Brooks at a tow yard, a rental shop, which also involved the theft of a side-by-side vehicle. There was a break-and-enter at the Duchess Golf Course. There was 4 stolen vehicles, of which 3 were stolen from businesses just on the west side of Brooks and one from a residence. Again, kind of that crime spree that unfolded in very, very short period. And I think everyone's well aware that is when we initiated that Operation Repetition. We brought in several support units from the RCMP, such as our district crime reduction unit, police dog services, our drone operators, intelligence officers, and to date, 6 persons have been charged in relation to that spree. And the reason I'm bringing this up again is I was monitoring the stats immediately after that intervention. The month of November, we observed a 20% reduction in property crime when comparing it to the previous year, and in December, a 10% reduction, again, comparing it to the previous year. So it's, you know, sometimes we can't control the sprees, the crime sprees, or predict them, but it's important that we respond appropriately, and that's just one example of how we did that. Another point I'm going to talk on is definitely garnered a lot of media attention. On December 9th, we did a media release that went very, very public, and I would say throughout certain parts of Canada regarding certain graffiti and messaging that was found within the city of Brooks that could most certainly be construed as a hate crime or white supremacy, and I think we're all familiar with that. We continue to investigate that. At the time that we did that media release, I think we had 9 reported occurrences. Since then, we've almost doubled in related files, in that we've been finding posters that appear to be similar, have similar messaging that have been kind of spread out to the public in different places, and including in some of the county areas. And so they've now showed up in Dutchess, Rolling Hills, and I think Bassano as well. Sometimes just on bulletin boards. Post offices seems to be a familiar thing, on people's windshields and so on. So we've made kind of a connection there. We believe they're related. We continue to investigate that. In fact, I just learned that Sandra with the bulletin may have received some as well. So we're not ignoring this. We are investigating this. We most certainly don't tolerate you know, any hate messaging and other crimes that might be related to that, such as mischief. So we are actively investigating that. Just moving on my recent events for the fourth quarter. There's been some graffiti incidents reported in Rolling Hills, not related to what I just talked about, or it doesn't appear to be. Squiggly lines painted on a residential fence, and I think a face painted on a business building. Aside from that, I've highlighted some more vehicle collisions. December 11th, there was a 2-vehicle fatal collision on Highway 36, right near Scandia, where an SUV and a semi-truck collided. Unfortunately, that resulted in 1 fatality. Road conditions were definitely a factor there. On the same day, and again, road conditions being a factor, another collision on Highway 875 and 530 between a minivan and a snowplow resulted in injuries on that one to 1 person. There was a fatal 3-vehicle collision December 18th, Highway 36 and Highway 873, where a van failed to stop at a stop sign and collided with a semi-truck. In addition to that, a most interesting stat for fourth quarter is in addition to those vehicle collisions, there was another 17 reported to us from the rural area, much more less severe, so to speak, non-injury, but includes fender benders, deer collisions, people hitting the ditch, and so on. So definitely busy on the highway. If I have a message for everybody in this room and viewers and people reviewing this agenda or these minutes, exercise caution out there. Pay attention to the signage, you know, be alert and be that defensive driver. So just a little bit of messaging from me. I make mention December 19th, a stolen vehicle was stolen out of Calgary. Really had nothing to do with this area, but it passed through this area. We attempted to intervene with that vehicle, and unfortunately it fled from us. And always looking at public safety, we did not pursue that vehicle, but our officers, along with several other to the east of here, were very engaged in making sure that was dealt with, and that vehicle and persons were dealt with and arrested in Maple Creek, Saskatchewan. So some people might be able to get away from us, or they think, but we will certainly try and deal with things the best we can. So good outcome on that one. Other than that, I'm going to highlight a check stop. The check stops we had in fourth quarter. We held 11 check stops, both in the city of Brooks and rural settings. We checked 742 vehicles. Total of 27 violation tickets were written, 13 warnings were written. There was 2 criminal charges laid not related to driving. And surprisingly, there was only 1 impaired intervention that we did, which is an individual that blew a warning on our instrument. Nevertheless, very serious. That results, just a warning alone, a 3-day license suspension, a 3-day vehicle seizure, and a fine of $300. So, but I am pleased that we only seen 1 impaired related driver amongst those 742 vehicles. So again, 1 is too many, but we did have the 1. Other than that, the only other point I want to talk on is priority setting, but maybe we'll wait and talk about that after you're done, because it involves both of us.
Yeah.
If you're good with that?
For sure.
Okay. Any questions? I went really fast. I just touched on some highlights. Any questions, thoughts, or comments from anyone?
Thank you for that, Councillor Johnson.
How do you combat the graffiti, the white supremacist propaganda that's going around?
Well, like I said, we're definitely actively investigating, and it's important to assign resources to that investigation. And we've assigned. We have all great investigators, but we definitely have some strong investigators on this. We also have some support units out of our headquarters that specialize in hate crimes, so they're engaged as well. But we investigate it to our best of our ability, right? We look for witnesses. That was part of the purpose of putting a media release out. So if anyone has information, please do reach out to us and let us know that. But we also look at other things, right? Like physical evidence that's left, video surveillance and things like that. So we always hope that, when we put our efforts forward, that we'll get some results out of it. So this is still a very, very active investigation. You're welcome.
Thanks. Any other questions? Thank you. There might be some as we
most certainly.
complete, so thank you. Appreciate that.
Thanks, staff, and thanks everybody for having us. A lot of our issues in Bassano are very similar and kind of linked up with Brooks's as well. I'll just kind of touch on a few things, a bit of a Reader's Digest of the report from the Bassano end of it. Bassano, we had 756 calls for service and events in Bassano for 2025, which is a 12% decrease, down from 851 the year before. 28 investigations for criminal code charges. 4 of those were impaired operation of a motor vehicle charges. The most significant kind of decrease, because in Bassano, bordering the highways, a large lion's share of our work is all highway collisions, highway speed enforcement. Happy to say we had 60 vehicle collisions, which is down from 98. So that's like 39% decrease in that, and only 1 fatality in that time period. Again, like Rob said, 1 is too many, but down from 3 the previous year. And 6 of those were animal-related collisions, deer. I don't know what is with the wildlife this past year, but we've seen a significant increase in animal collisions this year. We did 20 media releases just for various things. In addition, we do the monthly reports. 12 of those went out. 158 criminal record checks for 2025, which is quite a bit for a little detachment. We attended 23 proactive community events, parades, rodeos, school events, statutory holiday celebrations. We did 58 school activities, which include lockdown drills, presentations, just engagement with the kids, participation at assemblies and Red Surge for Remembrance Day and that sort of thing. Attended 22 county council meetings. We did 1,300 proactive community patrols and rural patrols. And of those 1,300, especially through the summer and all the recreation areas, nothing came of it as far as kind of any reports of dangerous activity, drinking and driving, partying, that sort of stuff. It was actually really quiet and kind of encouraging. Another significant decrease we've seen is over this year is through our property crime. It's been very isolated. When we've experienced property crime throughout this year, it's very spiked at a peak time. Like we got 8 stolen vehicles in June, all attributed to one group. And we've had one vehicle theft in Bassano in this quarter, and it was related to that exact group because that fella came back and stole another car, 6 months later. So it's very isolated. So again, nobody wants to have any, but it makes it a little bit easier for us to steer that direction towards a targeted group of individuals and narrow that down. And then, it's not comforting, but it's somewhat comforting knowing that it's not, a whole band of people doing it. It's one particular party or group to isolate that for as far as like a community threat level assessment. And they're only after vehicles. And the vehicles that were stolen, 90% of those vehicles either had the keys in them or were running when they were stolen at the time. So a lot of communication's been going on about that, and that actually gets into next week when we're doing the Operation Cold Start, which is to target public awareness about leaving your vehicles unattended, unsecured, and left running, just to thwart that. Most of our significant wins have been in the property theft area through this year and kind of through this quarter. Very much in the wintertime in Bassano, our property crime drops because it's mostly rural crime. There's less farmers out in the field. There's less equipment happening, less supplies, less fuel, less trucks, less things to attract these offenders. That being said, we're waiting for the spring when everybody starts doing their field work and discovers, possibly wire theft from their irrigation pivots. So we've increased our patrols kind of 24/7 throughout that time. Luckily, the person that was responsible for a large portion of that was 365 days he got a year in custody for that. So that was a bit of a win. And he's ordered in court to pay a lot of that money back to the victims. So with the decrease in crime, that's where kind of our staffing levels right now, we're at full staff. I have my detachment services assistant back at Bassano. She's up to speed, regular office hours. With the decrease for the Bassano, it limits opportunities for our members. There are a lot of junior members to be able to get engaged in the investigations and kind of hone their skills, develop their skills. That's where us kind of being unified so far with Brooks has really paid dividends for us. Bassano gets the benefit of the 24/7 coverage. Our members get the development they need by assisting on all these large collision files, the large investigations, a lot of the operations that have been run in Brooks. So it's been a huge dividend to us and our members, and they bring that kind of knowledge base and that experience back towards the community. Short of that, our numbers are, smaller than Brooks, but they're very consistent. In this quarter, we had 129 calls for service. We did 344 patrols, issued 23 violation tickets within Bassano, and that's about it so far. We didn't have any issues as far as the white supremacy posters in Bassano until the end of December. And we had one report where there was that white propaganda poster posted up in our post office. We put out the media. From that media release, we've now gotten, we had another one which was kind of targeted towards one specific residence in Bassano. And then yesterday I did a pop-in meeting in Rosemary, and just through conversation realized that that's happened there, and a bunch of posters were placed on cars around that Christmas time frame. Outside of a hockey game on a hockey rink. There's about 40 of them. I think a large portion of it, and kind of the takeaway I got from talking with a few people yesterday, was that they didn't think it was a big deal. Or they just thought, there's a bunch of kooky people or whatever with their agendas, and they just kind of write it off. It's really important information for us to be able to track that, not only on a local level, but divisionally and nationally. A lot of the agenda and rhetoric and stuff behind these kind of motivations are tracked and come back to specific groups, and those ideological groups can cause a lot of harm and fear within the communities. We want to be able to track that. It's investigational efforts. So we're reviewing CCTV footage, talking to people, doorbell cameras, something so we can isolate it as starting points, because a lot of time forensically we can't get evidence off of these. They're, the messaging might not seem smart, and each to their own, but they're smart people. They know not to leave fingerprints and that sort of stuff so far. So it's been tough for us to isolate it, but we want to track that to see if it's coming to a level that needs to be addressed, or a threat level assessment on those, to see if any kind of well, I have to be professional, if that messaging gets stronger from certain groups of people. So that's kind of the Bassano in a nutshell, but open to questions for both of us. And if you want, we can jump in on that engagement for the priority setting and stuff like that for the upcoming year.
Yeah, maybe be fitting just to talk about that real quick. So one thing I want to say about Bassano and Brooks, like Joe's reports on the property crime side show a slight decrease, and mine show a slight increase. And I talked about the crime sprees and things like that. I will say that whenever Joe reports more positive results than I do, I get jealous. So I dig into his, what he's got going on, and I compare to what we going on. A lot of our property crime, and I do believe this is key to understand the trends. A lot of the property crime, like break-in enters, theft of vehicles, happened extremely close to the city limits line sort of thing. In fact, we had incidents we were investigating where I'm literally saying, where would the city line be here? Are we in the city? Are we in the county? And a lot of times we're in the county. And that's kind of important to understand that piece, because of course there's a bigger population in the city. So some people are just stepping over that county line, doing that crime, and that statistic lands, on your reports sort of thing. Nevertheless, with us, it doesn't matter where it happens. The one thing Joe and I can report to everybody is, regardless of where it happens, regardless of the severity of that crime, we're going to put all of our efforts into that to hold people accountable. So that is for certain. The other piece that I felt was worth talking about is we've entered a phase in the year right now where we have to revisit and reestablish our detachment policing priorities. And that's for both Bassano detachment and our detachment. We like to ideally have new priorities in place April 1st. So it requires a little bit of legwork to get there. And despite what we hear, through the province and stuff like that, detachment priorities are set locally. Always have been, always will be. And in fact, we're looking even for more public consultation than previous years, but it always involves public consultation. Typically in past years, detachments have figured out that the best way to get that public consultation is through a public survey, which we are releasing on Monday for both detachments. We always meet with partnership agencies. The Coffee with the Cops serve as a good platform to get that feedback. But any which way we can get that public feedback, we do. We also look for feedback from the elected officials, such as everybody in this room. So the one thing we're doing a little bit different this year, I haven't seen it yet. Apparently we have kind of a new reporting database to capture all of that. I don't know how that's going to look, and maybe it'll even tie into our quarterly reports. But more than ever before, we're asking elected officials, like, talk to your constituents, to the people in the county, and we'll most certainly come back to you and ask if you have any additional input in addition to the surveys we're running and stuff like that. And if it all works correctly, we put all the consultations together. We always compare it to our statistics and other things, and then you establish your detachment priorities. And what those priorities are, they are specific items that we put extra focus on and extra initiatives to make sure that they're treated as a priority. Our priorities this year, I can't speak for Joe, I haven't looked at yours, probably similar. Crime reduction with property crime, drug enforcement, which is great because the two are tied very closely together. Traffic safety, which is great, as you heard from my report. And then when I got here, I added a fourth one, which is just community engagement and visibility. So I imagine that's similar to yours.
Bang on.
Yeah. So we'll see what all the consultations come back with and which way that steers us. And we look forward to working with everyone on that. Does that kind of sum that up?
Yep, that's perfect.
Thank you. That's a great report. Are there any questions or comments? Go ahead, Councillor Baumgarten.
I think the one thing you guys raised that is fairly important is the propaganda investigations. If we could make sure people know to report them, because I think most people would just grab and say, oh, that's garbage, and throw it out and forget about it immediately. But if it's going to help you with your investigations, I think I'm not sure if it was put in your report into the bulletin, and maybe we can put it on our page for the county, just to make sure people know that they should let people know that where it occurred, what happened, kind of thing, just to make your job easier.
That's a great point, and I'll add, it's probably extra important not to handle things that you find that you're reporting. Let us do that, because it may, contain certain physical or forensic evidence that we can process. So, good point. Thank you.
Thank you. Are you seeing, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead, Councillor Christman, go ahead.
Question, just an advertisement. I saw you're having coffee with a cop coming up. When's that date and time?
So that
Place?
one is February 12th in Bassano. We're finally having one. And it's at the Roadside Grill at 10 a.m. I picked the Roadside Grill so if nobody showed up, I could just pretend I was having breakfast anyways and not be humiliated. But so far it seems to be pretty good feedback that I'll be there more than by myself. Staff Sergeant Harms and the Brooks Safe Community, they're going to be coming out. We'll probably also have our district advisory NCO come out for that one too. So come and chew the fat, share some pie with us, and again, bring some concerns. Like to your point too, we don't know what we don't know. So, and a lot of times people are hesitant to pick up the phone and let us know. But in those kind of settings, the comfort level is there. Just through that conversation, we learn a lot and kind of learn what people. What they're seeing, what they're observing, what their thoughts are, and put some of their, maybe fears or questions and stuff to rest too. Like, oh no, that wasn't that. This is what it was. Oh, I did not know that. Things like that. It's always a good time.
Great, thanks. Go ahead. Yeah.
And just to follow up with you, so you know why I'm not there, we have council that day. So I'll be there in spirit, but
it was poorly planned. Then I will arrange. We'll do one in the spring.
I just had a question with regard to, are you seeing much uptake or spike relative to artificial intelligence and electronic media? Like the dynamic of that is pretty significant in terms of images and even speeches or messages coming from people who look like they are who they are, but they aren't who they look like they are. What are you seeing? I mean, I've seen some of that. I just think, my goodness, we must be vulnerable.
Yesterday, I was making a bank deposit in Bassano, and the teller there let me know that she's had a couple people come in, and they believe it's AI generated. Now, I believe a lion's share of a lot of our fraud calls that we're getting, where people are getting defrauded out of it, are AI generated calls. I've noticed it even on my work phone. I'm getting some, oh, hey, there's a warrant for your arrest. And you ask these follow-up questions and they answer it, but they're very odd. There has been one instance now where AI's gotten to the point where they FaceTimed. Elderly lady, they're their grandson, but it was actually their grandson talking to them through AI, and it was like 2 images they've sourced from Facebook. And so like that heightens the level of, that sort of instance happening. So I'm waiting to see it, how this relates then now into where we get these child exploitation calls. I think they're seeing a significant increase in it. And I know there's some cases going forward on, the images, are they AI? Is that real? Is it chargeable? So those are things that are all going to have to get proven and tested in court for where they're going to be at. I don't see any decrease happening in it. I only see it getting worse and more prevalent in it. We haven't seen a large kind of reported instance in Bassano. I don't know if Brooks has.
Yeah, I think, I don't know any statistics offhand. I think it's been minimal on our side, but most certainly we think there has been some fraud-related matters that probably involve AI. You hit the nail right on the head with the FaceTime AI about, basically they're tied to the grandparent scheme, where, the basis of that scheme is that a person posing as usually a grandchild gets a hold of a grandparent and says, help, I've been arrested, I need money now to get out of jail, sort of thing. AI is definitely brought that to a new level and a complicated level, because not in our detachment area that I'm aware of, but we know that already people in Alberta have been victimized by that. If we can take anything away today with that, it's that the community has to be alive to AI and how it can be used. And, calls like that, There's nothing wrong with hanging up the phone and making some other phone calls to check on family members or phoning the local police to say, hey, you know, is this really what happened, sort of thing. So be cautious with that and most certainly be alive to it. And I agree with Joe. I do think we're only going to see it go one direction, which is it's going to increase.
Yeah. Yeah, the preponderance of those kinds of things connecting to trusted sources is endless, I think. And so, yeah. Well, thank you for your, any other questions? I think this was excellent. Appreciate you coming in every time you do. And I thank you for the work you're doing in the community to connect with people. That's evident and it's appreciated. I hear that from people who've had the chance to sit down at times when you have engaged, you know, where it worked, and we appreciate that. And also some of the calls we've had don't expect that in terms of when emergency situations arise. Doesn't always work, and like I said, I don't expect it, but a few times when that's happened, I've appreciated the knowing some things that you would necessarily, or I would not necessarily know in real time. So thank you very much. We appreciate what you do, and we want to partner with you to make our communities safer, and we thank you for what you do. Thank you.
I think I speak on behalf of both of us when I say thank you very much for those kind words, and we too look forward to that continued growth and partnership. So thank you.
Yep. Thanks. Thanks. Let's take 5 minutes and reconvene at 11:45 for our Century Family presentations. Let's reconvene our meeting. I'll just by way of information, starting out, I just ask you to remove your hats in the room for council. That's a detail that we've stuck with at council, and we think it's a good thing. Really pleased to reconvene our meeting at this point. There's some things that are highlights of the year and some things that council has taken on over the last few years, and one of them is celebrating 100 years of farm families in our region. That the contribution to our area from those families can't be overstated. With that, I'm going to call on Todd Green to give us some introduction, and then I'll have some more comments as well. Go ahead, Todd, please.
Perfect. I don't know that I need to say too much more. That was a great introduction. 100 years farming in the county of Newell is an amazing milestone in my opinion, and I'm sure everybody else's opinion. And it's great to take an opportunity to celebrate that, I think. And this is just one of those opportunities. So we have a wonderful little farm sign that commemorates a little gift from the county, and to show our appreciation for all the wonderful things that the families have done for our communities over the years.
Thank you. And with that, again, I'll reiterate what I said earlier, is the significance of people in this area and families that have been in this area for so many years. It's a remarkable contribution to our communities. When I look at history and the vision that people had for this area back in the early 1900s, when anything that grew because of rain, which was all good, but the contribution that's come to this area from the fact that someone recognized that we could irrigate and that we could harness some of the opportunities of nature, it's remarkable. And then what's really remarkable is people who have made that flourish. And certainly that's part of what we're celebrating today by celebrating 100-year family anniversaries. And thank you all for coming in. I know occasionally we might miss this opportunity, but it's really an excellent thing to be able to celebrate with you, and we thank you for your contribution. Let's start with the Davidson family. Todd, do we want to present the sign first, or we want to hear a history of the Davidson family first, I think, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I prodded them to be prepared to do, was introduce their family members and then give us a brief background on their farm and where it came from and where it is today.
Great, thank you. And so welcome, Rod Davidson. We just officially met for the first time. We've seen each other on the street lots of times in the past, and knew that we were from the same general communities, but I was pleased to meet you officially just now. Rod Davidson, welcome.
Hello, y'all. You want a little history on my family? Or?
If you wouldn't mind introducing the family.
Oh, it was introduced, okay. My wife, Wendy, and my son, Aaron, and his wife, Amber. Then nephew, Shane Davidson, and little Lee. And then 3 grandkids are Gwen, Leaf, and Owen.
It's great to have you.
Yeah. Okay, this is all about Andrew and Martha Davidson. That's my grandparents. They both came from Norway and immigrated to United States at separate times, and were married in the States. I think it was probably Minnesota. But they settled in Fairview, Montana. If you know where that is, it's right on the eastern border between the Dakota and North Dakota, right along the Yellowstone River. They were just a few miles west. Andrew first came to Rainier in 1919, purchasing land on the southwest quarter, 1716, and he came back in the spring of 1920 and brought 2 boys. That's my dad, Roy, and Uncle David, ages 13 and 11. after arriving in Brooks in April. They made the trip by freight train. I'm not sure how they made connections back then to get up here on the train, but they he brought their horses and milk cows and farm machinery, and he left these two boys on the farm for a couple of weeks following the winter to look after the livestock when he went back to Fairview. That's quite something. Two young kids like that. And Martha and the rest of the family came up in 21. Grandpa Andrew passed away in 1930. Martha continued farming, and my dad, Roy, took over the farm in 38 with his wife, Irene. And let's see here, I don't want to miss too much. And they had 4 children, Martin, Aileen, myself, Rodney, and brother Ken. But they were tough years in the 50s in Rainier with all the hailstorms, but they stuck it out between milk cows and chickens and whatever. I bought the farm from Dad in 1977 and carried on with the mixed farm. I married Wendy Stratton from Brooks, and we had 2 boys, Joel and Aaron. Joel couldn't make it today. Let's see here, I'm getting mixed up here. Nope. Anyway, many changes over the years from when they came till now. I think they might have heard of irrigation down there. Must have been dried out a few times. Right on that way on the east side of that Montana. Anyway, they come up in, went from flood irrigation to that, to little ditches and wheel moves and no pivots, so that's good. Yeah, my great-grandson, Andrew and Martha's, that'd be Shane back here. He's going to farm. He farmed it last year, and I think I'll let him continue doing that. And of course, in attendance here to help along with us is Aaron and his wife Amber, and there's 4 great-grandkids here. A couple are missing today, but that's about it. Yeah.
Thank you. That was great, thank you. I'm going to suggest that in a minute your family all come up. I didn't introduce council, and I know someone asked already how many councillors we have and who we are, so we'll introduce ourselves, and then I'll invite your family to come up and we'll present the sign and take a picture. And Neil, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself first?
That's a pretty cool story. Welcome. Congratulations. 100 years is a long time.
Good morning, welcome. Adina Scandrip, Division 2, the hamlet of Tilly and surrounding area.
Ben Hofer, Dutchess.
Hi, I'm Greg Screever, south of Brooks and Lake Newell Resort, and it's good to see some of the Norwegian settlers here, like myself, like my family heritage. So good to see you.
Good morning and welcome to Council Chambers. I'm Kelly Chrisman and I'm from the northwest side of the county, Division 6.
And I'm Arno Dirksen from the Division 9, the GEM area, and the community around the village of Rosemary.
Welcome. Rich history. Matt Fensky, Chief Administrative Officer.
Hi there, Dan Baumgarten, the southeast corner on Rolling Hills.
Good morning, I'm Lynette Kopp, Division 3, Patricia Millicent area.
Welcome, Ariana Nielsen, Executive Assistant.
Welcome, Catherine Siaklik, Communications Officer.
Good morning, I'm Sandra Stanway, Brooks Bulletin.
Okay, let's have the Davidson family come up here and we'll present the presentation. Well, congratulations again. There's some days and there's some times within a day it's really a privilege to be the Reeve, and this would be one of those. It's really congratulations to the Davidson family. It's a privilege to be able to do this. And now I'd like to call on a representative of the Graham family to give us the history and then introduce the family first, and then talk about the history a little bit. Who's doing that? Yes, welcome, Betty. Good to see you.
Thank you. I'll introduce my family, and John Graham is going to introduce the Grahams.
Okay.
Here, okay?
Great, yes.
My brother Bob is sitting at the back, and his wife Gail is beside him. And this is my grandson from Bassano, Garnet Miller.
Great.
Okay, John, you're up.
Thank you.
I'm John Graham. First, I'd like to introduce the Baker McBride. Joan, married to Jim until we lost him. Oldest brother Mike. I said that oldest, don't you? Yeah, I started the oldest. No, he's probably the toughest too. Wife Sandy. Mike's and Sandy's son James. And then we have George in the back. Martina Metz. Robbie.
Are you ready for me then?
I'm absolutely ready.
Thanks, John.
Hopefully you can hear me. Everybody? Thank you for the opportunity to speak about a topic that is very dear to my heart, the Graham family. My brother, Bob Graham, and our two sisters who couldn't be here today, plus a lady and a man from Edmonton, plus a lady on Vancouver Island, and myself, Betty Graham Miller, are the 7 out of 15 possible grandchildren left of the original Graham couple that settled in Rainier. The present Grahams in Rainier and throughout southern Alberta are great-grandchildren and great-greats. For clarification, another Graham family have lived in the Brooks-Tilley areas, and maybe they still do, I don't know. They were not related to us. On behalf of the Grahams and their extended families, I'd like to thank the County of Newell for honoring the Graham family. This is very special, and we appreciate the recognition of the sum total of the hard work, the sacrifices, the disappointments, and also the contributions that this early couple and their families made and are still making in Rainier and southern Alberta. William Lamont Graham Sr. and his wife Susan Claretta Stewart Graham came from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and their ancestors came from Scotland. Between 1910 and 1920, Pittsburgh was a big industrial city due to the mining and the production of iron, steel, and coal. Its importance and prominence was enhanced by the confluence of two rivers, the Allegheny River and the Monongahela River, forming the Ohio River, which junction was at the center of the city. The Ohio River eventually became a tributary to the Mississippi River, making this a major shipping thoroughfare to the Gulf of Mexico. This meant much activity and many skilled and unskilled workers. Also, World War I was raging, adding to the busyness and complexities of the city. The William Grahams had a family of 4 boys and 2 girls. As parents, they could foresee the negative influences of this industrialism on their family. So this couple made the hard decision to move out of Pittsburgh. Our grandmother, whom I remember only slightly, took 5 of the children by train to California. Their oldest son stayed in Pittsburgh as he was employed for the Pennsylvania Railroad and would later become a train engineer. The children who went to California ranged in age from 6, who was my father, Robert H. Graham Sr., to age 17, who was James H. Graham Sr., the father and grandfather of the present Rainier Grahams. Our grandmother had a brother in California who was a fruit farmer, and the plan was for her to look for a fruit farm for their family. In the meantime, our grandfather, still working in Pittsburgh, listened to a Canadian Pacific Railroad presentation about cheap land, wonderful crops, wonderful opportunities, etc., in southern Alberta, Canada. Without consulting his wife, he came by train to Brooks and was given the tour of available land. And in 1919, he bought the land along the Bow River in Rainier. Then he contacted his wife in California and told her that he had bought a farm and for her to make arrangements to come to Brooks. While in Pittsburgh, our grandfather was a stonemason, a bricklayer, and a general contractor. He did work for oil companies, the city's waterworks, and for boiler companies. He built at least 2 houses and a 4-unit apartment. He repaired furnaces and built chimneys. He worked with cement, building cisterns and foundations. He installed and repaired boilers, and he cut walls so as to install windows. But he knew very, very little about farming. He had to learn from hard experiences and the advice from earlier Rainierite pioneers. Either the fall of 1919 or the spring of 1920, when in Rainier, he built a couple of buildings on the banks of the Bow River for living accommodations ready for when his wife and 5 children would arrive in Brooks. Then he returned to Pittsburgh to complete his contracts. He was 52 years old, and so was our grandmother. Over the years, they had some tough times, including the flooding of the river and having to move to higher ground, buying flax seed in the spring at a high price and the price dropping dramatically before harvest, having to bury their 19-year-old daughter who died in 1929 of an abdominal tumor. There was no cemetery in Rainier yet, and the CPR wouldn't give them the land to build one. So she was buried in Brooks. Afterwards, our grandmother, her daughter, who was now working, and her daughter's mother-in-law each put in $2, and that was a lot of money in 1929, to purchase the plot of land where the Rainier Cemetery is now located. This couple also had a building in Pittsburgh where they were storing much of their possessions, and it burned down. Neither one of this couple had the opportunity to return to Pittsburgh, but they did have visitors from there, including our grandfather's siblings and some cousins. But they did not give in to these tough situations. They endured, and they taught their children to do the same. The good times included Grandpa being hired because of his contracting skills and experiences to oversee the building of roads in Rainier. Hence jobs for his family and many Rainierites. Grandpa shone at gardening and hence had a huge garden of which he shared with others in the community. The family dug a root cellar close to the river, and they lined it each spring with chunks of ice. They could keep milk, cream, and butter cold for long periods of time. They also made lots of ice cream. Vegetables from the garden were kept in here also. Because their first field crop was a flax crop, they had lots of straw. So they covered the root cellar and later a barn with flax straw. Grandma taught granddaughters, new brides, and other young women how to bake bread, buns, cakes, pies, and how to make soups and stews. Our grandparents were builders of close and strong families and also close and strong community relationships. They supported and were involved in most community activities. They helped make Rainier a community. We descendants have high regard and respect for them and are ever so thankful for the example of our original Rainier grandparents. They were educated, courageous, perseverant, hardworking, innovative, honest, thoughtful, helpful, generous, kind, and they sacrificed much. They had high ideals for each of their family. I am proud of the Graham legacy being carried on by our grandparents' descendants. And I am sure that that first Graham couple that came to Rainier would be proud also.
Well said. Thank you, Betty. I appreciate you coming in to say that this morning. And I think what we're celebrating here reminds me, but also what you've said reminds me of something I think Winston Churchill said, who said, in effect, the further back you can look, the further forward you'll be able to see. And I think that applies to what we're celebrating here today. And I thank you all for coming in. Personally, I could tell some great stories of my exchange with the Graham family, the father of Mike and John and Gord and Joan's husband. I won't do that publicly here today, but I just want to say that what a privilege it's been to engage with both of your families over the years in this community. So why don't you have the family come up and we'll take a picture. Mike, go ahead, please.
My mother, and to know her, she told me that I needed to make sure to thank everyone. So start off with, I'm not going to thank everyone. I'm going to thank all of you for making this happen. Betty, it's pretty obvious she has the passion for genealogy and just did a wonderful job today, Betty. Thank you. I also thank you for not pulling some of the skeletons out of the closet. And other than Brother John, who's made a half-hearted attempt at it, I'm afraid I've got the black sheep of the family locked up here. So, and I don't need Neil commenting on this either. So I thank you again, all of you. Mom, as I said before, I'm going to be here for days if I thank everyone, but Mom and Dad, the sacrifices they've made over the years to allow us our shot at this I don't understand why they did it, but I do appreciate it. Thank you, Mom. probably for me, and she gets the least amount of credit, is my good wife Sandy. She happened to be born, or we happened to get married on the first day of operation of her mill. And she says, year after year, that's the only reason I remember our anniversary. But she has been a godsend for me, and I love her dearly, and thank you. So thank you all.
Thank you. Well, that was a highlight. Came back after 1 o'clock, but we left after 12 too, so that was good. Just compliment council for taking that on. I think the celebrating the 100-year celebration with families in this area is a highlight. Let's go to 12.1, which is post-agenda item and a letter of support. Matt, do you want to take us through that?
Yeah, I'll introduce it, and perhaps Reeve Dirksen can speak further to it. If council recalls, April last year, and you'll see the letter that council approved kicking out to the province to flag the invasive species problem and encouraging them to get on that boat dip tank technology, which following that letter, there were subsequent conversations with Alberta Irrigation Districts Association, managers from some of the local irrigation districts. And the sense was one of these was going to be placed out near Dunsmore, coming in off Highway 1. Yeah, right? Is it Dunsmore? No?
Dunmore.
Dunmore. The S is silent. Yeah.
With an apostrophe? Yeah.
There you go. So it's been a while, and we're coming up to the boating season. Some side conversations between some of the irrigation district managers, chair of AIDA. Folks thought it might be a good time to send a follow-up letter encouraging swift action on the task force recommendations generally, and let's get moving on this boat dip tank technology. So recommendation here is we send a happy reminder letter to the Premier, Minister of Environment, Minister of Transportation, and the Chief of Staff at Environment, encouraging them to get going with that boat dip tank.
Thanks, Matt. I think in a sentence, it's like you said about acting on the recommendations of the task force that had details in mind, and I think is the group that will recommend exactly what the follow-up activity needs to be. I don't think we need to get too deeply into that, but I think that acting on the recommendations, the urgency of moving forward to reduce the risk of endangered or invasive species coming into our waterways. Just for a little further information, the proponents or owners of the technology of the dip tank from Utah were up here last week. They met with the Premier and also met with, I had an opportunity to meet with them for a few minutes in the City of Brooks office. So that was on Thursday last week. And I think that's what's, and subsequent to that, I talked to Richard Phillips, who is the head of the task force and also the chairman of the Alberta Irrigation Districts Association, and he confirmed that it would be helpful for us to forward letters of support, as Matt indicated, or of highlighting the urgency, and also that we engage our neighboring municipalities in that regard. So I think, what did we do last time? I think last spring we sent it out, and as a result of, I think I was attending a Mayors and Reeves meeting in Lethbridge, which that's not imminent at this point, but I think we can use that same hub to contact them all and ask them or encourage them to reissue letters of support and urgency with regard to this issue. So we need a motion. I think the recommendation in the RFP indicates that. And so Neil, go ahead, or Councillor Johnson, please.
Through the Reeve, yeah, especially if Richard Phillips is behind it and thinks it's okay, I will make that motion in a heartbeat.
Thank you. I think that's good information for us to have. Any other discussion? All in favor, please indicate. That's carried. Thank you. So we're down to item number 13 and information items and in camera. Someone make a motion that we move in camera. Councillor Kopp, all in favor, please indicate. That is carried. Thank you.